Sweet mother of mercy, the Denver Broncos just called their shot. Sean Payton, several players, the ownership all came out today and talked about what the actual expectations for these Denver Broncos are. We've got a ton to break down. If watching some of these clips and hearing from some of these players and coaches and owners don't get you so fired up that you could run through a wall, you might want to check your pulse because we've got a ton to BO-lief in. Before we dive into that, I want you in the comments to let me know what is the floor and what is the ceiling for this 2024-2025 Denver Broncos squad. The floor being like, what is the minimum number of games you see these Broncos winning? And the floor, if all injuries break right for us and Bo plays like we think he's going to play, what's our ceiling? I'll break down what I think my floor and ceiling is at the end of this video, but let's dive in. So the first piece of big news, we know we can always count on Sean Payton coming out and sitting down with a reporter right before the season and dropping his actual feelings. We saw him do that last year with Russell Wilson. That was the infamous article where he talked about how he wanted Russ to stop kissing babies and how he wanted the team to be a lot more like move in silence and not need to announce everything on Twitter. And we've seen him comply with that, and they're not doing that anymore because he's got a winning culture here that has bought in, and we have further proof to that here. But the really cool thing here was Sean Payton said he operates best when he's the underdog, and that is like chip on your shoulder. We're seeing that in Sean. We're seeing that in his energy, that like he comes out with a smirk on his face, and the national media doubts him and says, oh, Sean Payton's got the sixth worst best quarterback. Bo Nix won't even start. Well, they were wrong there, right? And it's just time and time again when they're saying like, oh, this Broncos team's horrible. Like Sean just continues to prove him wrong, and that's where he operates best. I love this last quote here. I love being the underdog. The next time I only win 6 games in a season will be the first. Like that is just the biggest mic drop ever right there that should let you know what the Denver Broncos actually envision for this season. Like my job is in PR. And so a lot of my time is helping school districts and principals and superintendents. Like when a hostile media is asking you a question, how can you answer their question, but really not even actually address their question? Go look at Carolina Panthers, what they're talking about their team, or the New England Patriots or the New York Giants. This is not how you answer a question if you really think you're going to be bad. And Sean Payton wasn't actually even asked that. Like he's going out of his way to kick down the door and change this narrative that there is a belief in this team. I think we saw the exact same thing. The Broncos broke ground today on a top-of-the-line new practice facility, the Broncos Park, and you heard George Payton. You heard Greg Penner come out and say his expectations for this team. And so I think the other thing here is like, if you are trying to hedge your bets and not lose your job, rule number 1 is don't make your boss look dumb. And Greg Penner came out and said he has high expectations that this team is going to win now. And so it's one thing for Sean Payton to drum up and try to manifest good stuff by bringing positive energy, but you don't make your boss believe that and then make your boss look like an idiot. Like that is a guaranteed way to get fired. Greg Penner comes out, he has more money than all the rest of the owners combined, and his coach made him look dumb by saying, we're going to compete this year. If we really win 5 games and Bo Nix is a horrible quarterback, Sean Payton's going to lose his job because you made the richest owner in sports look dumb. So like right there, you're seeing it. We heard all offseason long, we heard Cortland Sutton come out and say, we have playoff talent on this team, and I want to be in the playoffs this year, and it's possible. We heard Garrett Bowles said it. We heard Jaleel McLaughlin on 104.3 The Fan say the exact same thing to Zach Bye and Philip Lindsay, and now we're hearing from even more players today. Every single player on the podium today said the same thing. Here is what Singleton said when he said, hey, are you guys rebuilding? Listen to this and the defiance that you hear him when they ask, are you rebuilding?
Rebuilding, or how do you see expectations for this team?
No, we got to win football games. No, we're trying to win. Now. I think that, if a player or a coach or anyone stood up here and told you they're rebuilding, they'd probably be full of shit.
Whoa, so he said a bad word there. Sorry, I was trying to pause it before there. Javonte comes up and said, no, we're not rebuilding, we're rebuilt. So if you look 2 years ago when we went to Seattle and almost beat the Seahawks then with Nathaniel Hackett, if it wasn't for attempting a 65-yard field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 4, we only have 14 players from that team 2 years ago who are still on this team. And so we're young, but we're also not just like throwing a bunch of rookies out there. Bo Nix will be our only rookie starting in this offense. Like you'll see Estime get some carries, but like Bo Nix is the only rookie, and he's not even really a rookie because of the weird COVID year. He has more college starts than any quarterback in this draft class. And so you're hearing again from probably the captain on this defense with Surtain. I could see both of these guys being voted the captain, coming out and being like, nope, you'd be disappointed. Anyone who says we're rebuilding is full of it. We're hearing the exact same thing of Mike McGlinchey, been around the league all over the place. He's healthy and feeling good, but he's like, there's a lot of guys in this locker room with a ton of talent. They're unproven. There is such a massive difference between being bad and being an unproven. And I'm so sick of seeing the Denver Broncos as the 31st ranked team as in terms of talent by ESPN reporters who only come to our practice when they want to cover Jordan Love and the Packers. And when they came, they're like, what? Like, these guys are really good. And it's just ridiculous that we are believing a narrative from people who have not watched a single Denver Broncos practice. Instead, listen to the players and the coaches and the owners on this team who see it day in and day out and believe it, because when has Sean told us something that hasn't come true? He told us we'll be better at evaluating quarterbacks than everyone else. Well, of the 6 quarterbacks who were drafted, Bo Nix is one of only 3 of them who's starting week 1. And he's going to be better than Jaden, and Caleb Williams probably has more talent around him, but Bo Nix was better in the preseason than Caleb was, and Caleb was playing against backups too. And so I'm not trying to be mad here, but like, I'm getting fired up, and these next 10 days could not go fast enough for me. Like, I would do anything to just blink and have it be opening week against the Seattle Seahawks, because we are going to shock the world. Here's McGlinchey coming out saying the same thing. I won't play it just for time, but it's awesome to have him overlook us, because it's going to be a lot of fun when we prove him wrong. Living through all the Super Bowls, all the different Manning eras, my favorite time covering the Denver Broncos, watching the Denver Broncos, is when people don't think we're going to be good. I loved when we were underdogs to the Green Bay Packers and we smacked them and shocked the world in Super Bowl 32. Super Bowl 33 against the Falcons was awesome and beating the Dirty Bird, but it felt so much better when no one saw it coming. And even against the Carolina Panthers, that felt better than when we were the best offense in the league with Peyton Manning. And this is all shaping up to be fantastic. McGlinchey saying it feels good to have him overlook us because we're going to prove him wrong. We're just hearing more and more about how Bo Nix is rapidly developing. And that's what Sean Payton told us he was going to do, that he is a football sponge and he soaks up everything. He's like having another coach on the field. His offensive mastermind coach at Oregon said the same thing. He is another coach on the field, and to hear his starting guard come out and be like, he's a different player than when he got here. Hearing PJ Locke say he's already playing games and moving his eyes on the field. He's doing stuff you shouldn't see a rookie do. The highest paid corner, Jair Alexander, and the Packers said the exact same thing about Bo Nix. Like, he does not look like a rookie. And we won 8 games last year when we had a drastically inferior defensive line. We've beefed up our defensive line. We did not have a tight end. Like, Greg Dulcich was hurt the bulk of the season, and we literally had the 32nd ranked tight end room in the entire NFL. We had a quarterback who couldn't run Sean Payton's system. We had a diva at wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy, who we shipped off and replaced with a better wide receiver in Josh Reynolds. And I just cannot for the life of me picture why we're going to be 3 games worse than we were last year. John Frankelmeyer, speaking of massive upgrades at the defensive line, came out and said the same thing. What does it mean for the Broncos to be young and hungry? And here's what he said, and I'm going to cut the last thing he said because he also swears, but
I think, there's a different level of physicality. There's a different level of effort that's played with a guy who's young and hungry. That's kind of understood, is that, when you first get in the league, we're all excited. We all just want to run and hit. And, you see that a lot here, is that guys just want to run, they want to hit, they play with extreme effort and physicality. And, those are 2 things in my first press conference, and you asking me about.
Guys are young and hungry. They just want to run and hit. You know who didn't want to run and hit, and that's why we let the Miami Dolphins score 70 points on us? Randy Gregory and Frank Clark, both of who, when we moved on from them, our defense hopped up into a top 10 defense in the NFL for the last stretch after we moved on from those guys. So we're talking John Frankelmeyer, massive improvement on our defensive line, coming out and saying, hey, these guys are young and hungry and want to hit. And the last piece of news that I think really points to us being really, really different this year, is the bringing in of Donald Parham. You just look at like how massively he sticks out. We know Sean Payton loves having a tall tight end. And even cooler than that is the fact that Lombardi, our offensive coordinator, was his offensive coordinator when he was a Charger originally. And he let Hunter Henry walk for nothing and kept Parham instead because he believed in Parham over what he believed in Hunter Henry, who has turned out to be like a fantasy star and one of the better tight ends in the game. And so incredible to see our offensive coordinator now have Dulcich and him, and thinking of what these two dudes are going to do in a double tight end set is just nasty, nasty work and very, very exciting. Just seeing that last year quarterbacks who targeted him had 108 passer rating. That's wild. 22 first downs on 27 receptions. So he obviously he's not saying he's Travis Kelce, but in the Sean Payton system that prioritizes a tight end, we didn't have one last year. Now we have two. There's just so much in here, you guys. I'm sick of the national media sleeping on us. Here was the point that was wild, is that our tight end room has 10 career touchdowns and Parham has 11 just himself. And so now we have a tight end with Dulcich popping back and being healthy, and now having Parham. Like, this is the time to hop in on these Denver Broncos. I think our floor for wins this year is 8. If Sean Payton wins less than 7 wins, it'll be the first time in his career that he's done that. We are better every single position on this team right now, other than safety probably. And we now have a quarterback who can run Payton's system. I think the ceiling, if everything plays out how I hope it does with injuries, for us staying healthy and other dudes dropping off, I could see these Denver Broncos winning the AFC West. I really could, and I do not think there's any cap there. I think we could win 11 games here. There is a lot to BO-lief in, and I cannot wait for Seattle. I would say I'd be excited for the Colorado-Buffalo game tonight, because a couple months ago I was wondering, hey, might we be in the running for Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders? But it's like, I think those guys are going to be off the board 15 to 20 picks before we even have a pick, because we just saw the entire Broncos team is bought in, and you should be too, because we've got a lot to BO-lief in. I needed that one.